Hello, Fabulous Scorpio. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of December 2018, looking at life and love. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. What an amazing month it is, and it truly is what I'm calling the divine wrap-up for a lot of people out there. And that is because we are going to have two major retrograde seasons coming to an end. And I think that there's one of them in particular, well, both of them actually, that you will be celebrating. That is the end of Mercury retrograde season, the end of Venus retrograde season. And as we get to the very end of the month for New Year's Eve, Uranus will stand still in the sky at the very beginning of 2019 moving forward. And that means that all major planets will be moving forward in the new year for a full 2 months. So this is a really big deal. This represents a sense of moving forward, of fresh energy, of implementing new things and feeling the full support, the wind of the cosmos with you as you attempt to bring change into your life. And so this is going to be very powerful. If you are someone who's feeling that you really want change and you want it now, well, that's great. Of course, you should nurture that energy. I'm very much of a belief that you know what it is karmically that you need to do. However, if it is that you're giving yourself a little bit of time, you're being a little bit more strategic, as Scorpios can sometimes be, it would be good to be strategic now and to consider that it may very well be the new year, January and February, that is the most blessed for some really big, beautiful things to be implemented by you that will only gain traction going forward. So bringing it back to this month, because you know I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way, but bringing it back to this month, let's start with Venus, because right out of the gate, at the very beginning of the month, Venus will stand across the sky from Uranus. Venus will be in the sign just before yours. Real moment of epiphany here for you. Understanding some deeper relationship patterns that have been playing out and understanding what's really been going on with a particular situation that may have been with you since September, in particular when Venus retrograde season began. It is going to be immediately after that Venus will move into your sign. And then right in the middle of the month, will speak in harmony with Saturn before moving on. And right around the 18th, leaving shadow. So this is a really big deal with Venus leaving shadow. And then Venus will be in your sign, moving forward, strong, new ground. You are one of the most blessed this month of the zodiac. It will feel very much like a blessing on a few different fronts, but that includes in love as well, romantically, and platonic love will be very high for you throughout the month. Now, for those of you who are open to meeting someone new, just remember what's transpiring now is evoking and is speaking to events that took place for you back in September and October in particular. And so when I talk about the divine wrapping up, it is the feelings of that time. It is the clarity, the emotions, the understandings you were having about the love available to you that is going to start to really take root and reach a new level of clarity to help you to move forward. For those of you who are getting to know somebody, I'm seeing this month as decision month. And so this is where you're getting really clear about who this person is. That honesty is with you at the very beginning of the month. And then by mid-month, you're making a decision with a real connection to self-love and a real connection to knowing what it is that you really want moving forward. And once you make that decision, you know, they say with Scorpios, once you get that clarity in the middle of the month, you'll be that much more open with Venus moving forward into new territory, but in your sign, to really celebrating the love in your life in all its forms. I also think, regardless of your relationship status, if you are someone who's been waiting to, you know, make some changes to your look, new hair color. If you've been with me long enough, you know I've been there with you. I've been like every hair color over the last 10 years on YouTube. And so if it is that's how you're inspired, try to wait until we get into this Venus in new territory energy in the last 2 weeks of the month, because that is when you really are accessing an energy where you're much more likely to like the results, and anywhere where you're hoping to give yourself a little bit of a sense of connection to your own unique beauty. That really is what matters, and however it is that you uniquely define beauty, define pleasure, well, you will be swimming living in that energy and enjoying it that much more. For those of you who are in an established bond, I do feel like it's going to be the middle of the month that is one of the more important times. There's going to be an understanding of what has been transpiring over the last few months since the beginning of September. And if it has felt as if, for some people it might have been within the bond, there were some mixed feelings or missed communications. For others, it might have been more external, where your partner just had to get more busy or had things going on with them, or maybe it was you. Well, at least once we get to the middle of the month, it'll feel like you're that much more on solid ground and understanding your level of commitment that much more deeply and moving forward ahead with that much more certainty. Now let's look at what else is happening this month. And that is, of course, important lunar activity. It is going to be right around the 7th of the month, right around the time that Mercury goes direct in your sign, that we are going to have a new moon. Now this new moon is happening close in the sky with Jupiter, and that gives it an energy of hope and possibility and opportunity. However, it is also speaking with Mars and Neptune in conversations of tension. So this larger dynamic to me is really interesting, because on the one hand, this new moon is happening in a financial part of your sky. It is a part of the sky that is going to receive a real boost of blessings a little bit later in the month. Right around the 20th of the month is when Mercury will meet Jupiter in the sky. And this is going to be some very good financial news that finds you, or a sense of moving in a positive direction, perhaps a financial agreement at this time, or feeling a sense of a new beginning that helps you to feel that much more sure about your financial future. It could also be just a smart purchase and feeling like you got a lucky break where it comes to acquiring something new. However, the thing is, though, what you want to be careful of is that you are waiting for that energy, because it could be that right around this new moon, you may be feeling a little bit impatient. It could be that there's something that you want to do, you think it's going to be a lot of fun or really fulfilling, and you're telling yourself that you have it, you have the money, you have the resources, it's not a big deal. But there might be some underneath conflicting feelings there that you want to pay attention to. The other thing I would say with this energy around the new moon, be very mindful not to mix love and money, especially if it's new love, especially if it's someone that you're just getting to know, because it could be some learning in those regards at that time. And so the best that you can to keep these two areas separate, the better it will be for you in terms of your understanding of the genuineness of this connection going forward. But for all that, where it is possible, try not to be too impulsive with certain changes that you may be inspired to make. If you are approached with a certain agreement, a new opportunity, if you can pace yourself just a little bit, if possible, try to pace yourself just a little bit to move towards the middle of the month, because that's when I feel like you'll be able to see more clearly what is actually involved in the opportunities that may present themselves to you in the earlier part of the month. As we move later into the month, right around the 22nd is when we are going to have a full moon. Now this full moon is happening in fellow water sign Cancer, and it's a part of the sky for you that has to do with understanding your place in the world. It's long distance travel, immigration, citizenship, higher learning, legal matters as well. Political matters, philosophical matters are covered here. Now the thing is that this full moon is what astrologers call unaspected, which means that it's not making mathematically precise connections with other power players in the sky. That's okay, that happens sometimes, but what that means is that this could be a sense of having information show up for you, a sense of what it is that you want to do, or feeling a desire to bring a certain project to a close, but then not necessarily knowing where you go forward from there. This full moon is at the very beginning of its sign as well, which means that with the sense of culmination that a full moon brings, it also brings with it a beginning. And so as I look at this, I feel like this may not be the best time to take any information at face value, especially where it comes to these areas that I've talked about. It may not be the best time to implement anything new in these areas that I just mentioned as well. It is a good time to consider your own feelings, to consider your own desires, to let that emotion be with you, and to understand that you are perceiving things and maybe seeing things differently than you did before, but it may not necessarily be the time to act in support of those feelings. It's almost as if what is happening is a deeply personal process for you and isn't necessarily about how you're implementing it or how it's changing your life in practical ways. If it is that you are involved in a legal matter, in a matter having to do with the Institute of Higher Learning, in an immigration or citizenship matter, just know that, again, it looks like it's not necessarily about what's happening outside of you. It's not necessarily about you taking action and then having certain outcomes and having certain people help you out with certain things. It is possible that a matter in this regard comes to a close at this time, and that can be personally very gratifying for you. But in terms of this moment, this event actually speaking to some larger context, some larger movement, that may not necessarily be the case right away. However, that time will come soon. Just know that this is a part of the sky where the North Node recently moved into. And the North Node is going to spend 1.5 years in this part of the sky. You're going to have lots of opportunities for gains, for progress, for momentum, for aligning with a higher vision for your life in these areas that I talked about. This really is the very beginning of a journey, the very beginning of a process. However, it is one that begins on a deeply personal note and on a note where you start to understand where it is that your energies are best spent. What I love about this week for you, well, look, it's got to be the end of Venus retrograde season, and Venus forward and strong and not in shadow in your sign over the holidays. You'll be able to enjoy this energy fully. I think of all the signs out there, you are probably one of the most likely to have the most fun, really, with a sky like this and with Venus in your sign. You are one of the ones most likely to be shopping up a storm, or however it is that you celebrate abundance and the feeling of abundance and the feeling of generosity. It'll certainly be with you this holiday season, and the great thing is that you know that you have so much that you can't help but give. Well, thank you so much for watching. You can get a video like this every week by logging on to nadiyashah.com. Sign up to be one of my superstars. Superstars get expanded exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. It'll be a great month. Enjoy.